These are here in the bottom. These are your lower anchors. Pretty standard little lower anchor hooks right here. You want to make sure when you're hooking in that it hooks down with the heavier part on top, so that's what hooks into the lower anchor attachment. You want to make sure if you're not utilizing them that you secure them somehow on the seat so they're not flopping around. So, and then here, of course, on top is our tether. So right here we have our tether system. Easy way to remember, lower anchors, L for lower, T, tether, top. You always want to refer to your vehicle manufacturer instructions to see where your tether goes, if it needs to go up over your headrest or up under. It's going to pull all the way out, and it will lock into an anchor. In most cars, the anchor is up on the back dash. Some SUVs are up in the ceiling, some are behind at the bottom of the seat, some are located in the floorboard. So you need to do that. What this tether does is actually stops head excursion. So this tether can actually keep your seat from moving so much forward. Okay? Super important with a child, because small children, their heads can actually expand out a little further than their little spinal cord. So you want to make sure that they stay nice and snug as often as best you can. So that tether helps with that head excursion. Upper body weight's all you're going to need. You don't need to have knee, anything like that. The seat is weighted for a certain amount, so you don't want to overdo that. You're going to take your seat belt, turn it so you can see. Right here, we're going to pull it all the way out. For most seat belts, once you pull it all the way, you're going to hear a ratchet. That ratchet is actually locking in your seat belt. And that's what you want. With an adult seat belt, we have it where if you slam on the brakes, it locks in. With child restraints, it needs to be locked in at all times. So as you can see, we're not moving at all. You want no more than 1 inch movement, but this seat's not moving anywhere. You're always going to check right here wherever the belt path is. I'm not so concerned about movement here or here. It's where this seat belt, the path is. When you have this is actually what we call a latch plate. When I have it nice like this, the seat belts will just move back and forth. Once I hook it in, pull it tight, add that pressure. Now my seat belts are nice and parallel. That locks it in. Little Miss Doris is in a 5-point harness. 5-point harness means I have 5 points of contact. So I have a point of contact at each shoulder, so 1 and 2, each hip, 3 and 4, and then here at the crotch, so 5. So there are 5 points of contact. So what happens in a crash is now this crash force is spread over 5 points within that child. That's how come it's safer when they're in that 5-point harness, and you don't want to transition a child into an adult seatbelt too soon. Because if you think about it, adult seatbelt has 1, 2, and then 3, one shoulder the other. So they go down and they lose 2 points of contact. So you want to make sure that the child is ready to transition into a booster seat. Minimum is going to be 4 years, 40 pounds. We really want them to be, about 4 years old, 40 pounds before we put them into a booster seat. To come out of a booster seat and graduate into an adult seat belt, we're really looking for 4 feet 9 or 9 years old. But 4 feet 9 is really the magic height before an adult seat belt will even start to fit in a child correctly. When a child's rear facing, we actually want the shoulder straps at or below. So we always tell parents rear facing, it's at or toward their little rear. And that's correct placement. We want the shoulders where you can't pinch that up. So we always talk to parents about snug as a hug, never a pinch. And then once again, this right here, it is a chest clip. So we want it at chest. So I always teach parents, once you have your child in, just put your hands there. It should always be between fingers. So you can tell that that's a nice, good little install. Children, according to Tennessee law, have to be rear-facing till they're age 1 and 20 pounds. However, the Academy of Pediatrics has put out a recommendation, and now it is their policy for children to stay rear-facing until age 2 or upper weight limit of the seat. This seat will actually go 40 pounds rear-facing. So, and a lot of the seats that once they're convertible, which is what this is called, it will go 40 pounds. It's more dynamics of a crash. With a child, when they're rear facing in a crash, the seat absorbs all the forces and it rides down that child's body. Once I turn this child around forward facing, the seat doesn't absorb the crashes, their little bodies do. So it's real important to keep them rear facing. You notice our little one here has just a really thin fleece on. That's fine. It doesn't add a whole lot to her here. If you put a child in with a really bulky coat, what's going to happen is now this harness system is going to be much, much looser. So to get that bulky coat, we now have all this excess. Well, what happens is in a crash, all that excess is going to compress. Now the child has so much more movement. So they're moving that much more. Once again, that goes back to their little heads can extend further than that little spinal cord, so that's how come they wind up with spinal cord injuries. So we want to make sure that you take that jacket off, put them in with, light little fleece blankets, something like that, buckle them up. Then you can always put the jacket up over them, over the harness system, or put them on with a little blanket, and they'll be nice and snug that way, but make sure it's outside of the harness system. We always tell parents to secure anything in the vehicle that you would not want your significant other to throw at you in anger. Because in a crash, basically what happens, anything in a vehicle, whether it's purse, briefcase, CD, whatever, if that vehicle's going 40 miles per hour, so is whatever it is. And it's actually weight times speed. So if I have a 10-pound purse and I'm involved in a 40 mile per hour crash, now that purse, guess what? It's coming at me at a huge amount of force, weight times speed.